AITA for uninviting my sister-in-law from my wedding after she revealed my pregnancy online against my wishes? Hi Reddit. I've never posted here before, but this situation has completely blown up in my life, and I don't even know where to start. I, 27F, Emma, am currently 12 weeks pregnant. My fiancé, Daniel, 30 Ment, and I have been together for 5 years, and we've been planning our wedding for next summer. We had agreed that when it came to sharing this pregnancy, we would only tell our immediate families, our parents and siblings. That was it. From the moment we saw those 2 pink lines on the test, we felt an overwhelming mix of excitement and fear. We wanted to enjoy those first weeks privately because, honestly, anything could happen. It was our news, our moment. But apparently not everyone saw it that way. Daniel's sister, Chloe, 31F, has always been dramatic and attention-seeking. She's charming, funny, and intelligent, but she's also reckless, especially when it comes to social media. She loves to broadcast every event in her life, and she always has an audience in mind. We told her explicitly not to post anything about the pregnancy. Daniel reminded her multiple times, and I even said it myself. Chloe, please wait until we say it's okay. This is our moment. She nodded each time, smiled, and assured us she understood. Fast forward to last weekend, we had a small family dinner at Daniel's parents' house to celebrate my birthday. It was quiet, intimate, and felt safe. Just what we wanted. Chloe arrived late as usual with her phone in hand, already filming herself while she got ready. She kept making jokes about capturing the vibe and posting it for her followers. I rolled my eyes but didn't say anything. I trusted that she knew better than to post anything about the pregnancy. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I got the notification. Chloe had posted an Instagram story. At first glance, it was harmless. A casual, get ready with me clip of her doing her makeup, laughing and chatting about the dinner. But then it happened. Midway through, almost casually, she said, "I'm so excited to be an aunt. Emma and Daniel are going to be amazing parents." My stomach dropped. My phone immediately started buzzing. Notifications flooded in, texts, Instagram DMs, even emails. Over 60 messages from friends, distant relatives, and coworkers poured in before I could even comprehend what had happened. I hadn't told a single one of them yet. I hadn't even told my closest friends. I called Chloe immediately. I was shaking, barely able to speak, and then screaming. I couldn't believe someone I trusted would disregard our wishes so completely. She answered, laughing nervously. "Emma, calm down. I didn't mean anything. I forgot you weren't telling anyone yet. It was just a joke." A joke? She had just exposed the most intimate piece of my life to the world without my consent. A joke? I felt like my entire trust in her had been shattered. "I'm not joking, Chloe," I shouted. "This was our choice and you completely ignored it. You stole our news." She tried to apologize, but her words were hollow. I just got excited. Everyone loves a happy surprise. No, not everyone. Not without our consent, not like this. In my rage, I told her she was uninvited from our wedding. She immediately broke down crying, pleading with me, trying to guilt me. "Emma, you're ruining everything. This is my family too. How can you be so cruel?" But I didn't back down. My trust had been violated in a way I couldn't ignore. This wasn't about being mean. It was about protecting our boundaries. Then the fallout started. Daniel's parents were furious. Victoria, his mother, called me overly dramatic and accused me of trying to control the family. Thomas, his father, said I was making a mountain out of a molehill. Their arguments were relentless. "She's your sister-in-law. It's just a social media post. Everyone's happy. Why are you being difficult?" Daniel stood by me, but the tension in his family was palpable. Suddenly, our quiet, intimate news had exploded into a full-blown family crisis, and it was all Chloe's doing. Over the next few days, Chloe's manipulations escalated. She sent long, guilt-ridden texts saying things like, "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." I was just so excited. "You're making me out to be the villain. Emma, please, think about the family. Can't we just celebrate? Why are you doing this? Everyone's on my side. You're overreacting." It became clear that this wasn't just a mistake. It was a deliberate attempt to control the narrative, to make herself the center of attention. Meanwhile, Daniel and I tried to focus on the pregnancy and the wedding. But every family dinner, every interaction was now charged with tension. I had to navigate his parents' disappointment, Chloe's manipulations, and my own emotions, all while trying to enjoy what should have been one of the happiest times of my life. Then came a revelation that shocked me even more. I found out that Chloe had been subtly hinting about the pregnancy for weeks, telling mutual friends cryptic things like, "I know something big is happening. Can't wait to spill the news." She had planned her big reveal all along, regardless of our wishes. I realized then that my anger wasn't just about social media. It was about trust, respect, and boundaries. Chloe had crossed a line that went far beyond a casual post. She had undermined our choice to control one of the most intimate moments of our lives. Every attempt she made to apologize felt performative, more about saving face than making amends. She started sending gifts early, showing up at places we frequented, inserting herself into our story at every opportunity. Daniel and I had long conversations about boundaries. We realized that our wedding wasn't just a celebration. It was a statement about the people we allow in our lives. Chloe's repeated disregard for our wishes meant she could not, in good conscience, be part of that sacred day. Now, months later, the tension hasn't eased. Chloe posts cryptic messages on social media, Daniel's parents are still frustrated with me, and our friends are divided. Every day, I question if I handled it correctly, but I know that I have to prioritize my peace, my pregnancy, and the boundaries Daniel and I set together. In the days following Chloe's Instagram reveal, the atmosphere in our lives shifted. Every interaction, every family gathering felt like walking on a minefield. Daniel and I had planned a quiet weekend brunch at his parents' house to discuss wedding plans, but I knew, deep down, it would turn into another battle over Chloe. Victoria, Daniel's mother, greeted us at the door with a forced smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Emma, Daniel," she said in that syrupy tone that always preceded a lecture. "I just don't understand why you're making such a big deal out of a harmless post." Chloe was excited. That's it. I felt my chest tighten. I had tried to prepare myself for this, but hearing it out loud from her made my anger bubble anew. "Victoria," I said, keeping my voice calm but firm, "this wasn't harmless. She posted something we explicitly asked her not to. This wasn't excitement. It was a violation of trust." Daniel's father, Thomas, shuffled some papers on the counter, clearly uncomfortable. "Emma, we get it, but think about the bigger picture. Family's supposed to be about forgiveness. Can't you just move past it?" I wanted to scream. Move past it? How could I move past someone stealing one of the most personal pieces of my life and flaunting it to everyone else? But I forced myself to breathe. "I am moving past it," I said slowly. "I'm moving past it by enforcing the boundaries we set. That means Chloe is uninvited from the wedding. Nothing else will change that." Daniel reached for my hand under the table. His eyes met mine, full of support and quiet reassurance. That small touch grounded me. At least we were on the same page. The brunch was tense, filled with awkward pauses and forced small talk. Chloe hadn't shown up, but her presence was felt in every sidelong glance and whispered comment from relatives. Victoria's sighs were audible every time I spoke, and Thomas kept shooting me wary looks as if I had personally ruined their family dynamic. After they left, Daniel and I sat in the quiet of our apartment, the city buzzing faintly outside our windows. "I hate that it's come to this," Daniel said, running his hands through his hair. "I hate that your family and mine are getting caught in the middle. But I can't fault you." Chloe completely ignored our wishes. "This is on her, not you." I leaned back on the couch, exhausted. I didn't expect it to hurt this much. I knew I would be mad, but I didn't realize how deep the betrayal would cut. It feels like she doesn't see me as a person who has a right to control my own news. She sees me as a prop in her story. Daniel sighed, pulling me closer. "We'll get through this, together. And the wedding? That's our day. Whoever can't respect that doesn't belong there." Simple as that, but Chloe wasn't done. Over the next 2 weeks, she started a campaign of subtle manipulations. She would post vague, cryptic messages on Instagram. "Family is complicated, isn't it?" Or sometimes excitement is mistaken for selfishness. She knew we would see them. Every post was a little needle poking at our peace. Then she began reaching out to mutual friends. People who had no idea about our agreement suddenly started texting us with questions like, "I saw Chloe's post. When are you telling everyone?" Or, "Are you okay with her being so excited?" It became clear that Chloe's goal wasn't just the initial reveal. She wanted to make herself the center of attention, to paint herself as the victim, to make me look controlling or unreasonable. Every interaction became a battle for the narrative. I began keeping a journal, pouring out my anger and confusion, trying to process everything. I wrote about the sleepless nights worrying about the pregnancy, the stress of navigating family politics, and the fear that Chloe's behavior would continue escalating. I wrote about my moments of doubt. Was I being too harsh? Was I ruining family relationships? But each entry ended with the same realization. Boundaries exist to protect us, and Chloe had shattered ours. Meanwhile, wedding planning became a minefield. Every guest list revision, every seating chart, every discussion about who to invite sparked anxiety. Daniel and I spent hours arguing over whether to mention Chloe's absence to other family members or leave it unspoken. Each option carried consequences. Mentioning it could ignite drama. Leaving it unspoken risked whispers and gossip. Then came the breaking point. 2 weeks before our scheduled engagement party, Daniel and I discovered that Chloe had been sending gifts to people we hadn't told about the pregnancy yet, with notes like, "Can't wait for the little one. So excited to be an aunt." She was actively inserting herself into our story without consent. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I confronted her via phone, my voice low, cold, but shaking with fury. "Chloe, this stops now. You have no right to do this. You do not get to control our story. You are uninvited from our wedding. I do not want gifts. I do not want messages. I do not want social media posts. Do you understand me?" She tried to twist it, her voice trembling. "Emma, you're being cruel. I'm family. I wanted to celebrate." "No," I said firmly. "You wanted attention. That is not the same as celebrating. I will not let you disrespect me and Daniel any longer." After that conversation, the tension escalated further. Daniel's parents were furious, his mother accusing me again of being controlling, while Chloe began sending more passive-aggressive posts and messages. Our friends were split, some supporting me, some cautiously siding with Chloe, claiming I was too strict. I began to understand something important. This wasn't just about a social media post or even a wedding. This was about respect, control, and trust. Chloe's actions revealed how little she valued boundaries and how willing she was to manipulate people for attention. She had turned a joyful moment into months of conflict and emotional stress. As I sit here writing this, I still feel anger simmering. Daniel holds my hand, a quiet anchor in the storm. Our wedding will go on without Chloe. Our pregnancy will be celebrated on our terms. And I have come to accept that protecting our peace may come at the cost of family harmony. The following weeks felt like living in a constant state of tension. Every time I checked my phone, I braced myself for a new notification from Chloe or some mutual friend she had roped into her version of events. Every text felt like a miniature ambush. "Can't wait to meet the little one. Aren't you excited for Chloe to be an aunt?" Daniel and I spent hours strategizing. Should we confront our friends who had received her messages? Should we issue a public statement to the family? Each option seemed like opening another can of worms. I wanted to protect our privacy, but Chloe seemed determined to make that impossible. During this time, I noticed subtle changes in myself. I became hyper-aware of every interaction, every word I said in public, every smile I gave. At work, I found myself deflecting compliments about the pregnancy because I feared the information would spread. I felt like I was constantly on guard, anticipating Chloe's next move. It was exhausting, and I started wondering if I was being irrational. Then came the revelation that shook me to my core. One afternoon, while organizing emails, I stumbled across a message Chloe had accidentally sent to one of her friends that had been forwarded to me. In it, she admitted, "I can't wait to steal the spotlight. Emma and Daniel are too boring. They'll never post anything fun. I need people to see me first." Reading that, my stomach dropped. This wasn't just excitement or carelessness. It was calculated. She had been planning this from the beginning, meticulously crafting a narrative that made her look like the excited family member while painting me as controlling and cruel. I felt a cold wave of anger and fear. How had I not seen it before? How many people had already been influenced by her words? I realized then that this wasn't just about Chloe. It was about control, perception, and power. I shared the message with Daniel immediately. He was silent for a moment, his jaw tight. Then he said, "Emma, we can't let this continue. We have to decide what our boundaries are and enforce them, no matter what. Chloe has made her choice. She's shown who she is." We began drafting strict boundaries for the next months leading up to the wedding. No contact from Chloe. No gifts, no messages, no social media mentions. Daniel even blocked her on certain platforms to prevent the constant anxiety attacks her notifications were causing me. Even with these measures, the stress didn't abate. Chloe began posting cryptic Instagram stories almost daily, each one a calculated jab. Some people think control is love. Some people think respect is optional. Each post made my blood boil. I realized that ignoring her wasn't an option. This needed to be addressed head-on. We decided to confront her in person at Daniel's parents' house, hoping a face-to-face conversation would finally make her understand the seriousness of her actions. Daniel and I arrived, hearts pounding, fully prepared for the confrontation. Chloe greeted us with a false smile, leaning casually against the doorway. "Emma?" "Daniel, aren't you overreacting a little?" she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "Chloe," I said, my voice low but firm, "this isn't about overreacting. This is about respect. You've crossed boundaries repeatedly. You've inserted yourself into our life and story without permission." "That stops now." She tilted her head, feigning innocence. "I don't understand. I just wanted to celebrate. Everyone loves a happy announcement." "No," I said, my voice rising. "You wanted attention. That is not celebrating. You stole something that wasn't yours to share. Do you understand the gravity of that?" She sighed dramatically, rolling her eyes. "You're ruining family relationships over a post. This is insane. Everyone thinks you're being cruel." Daniel stepped forward, placing a protective hand on my shoulder. "No, Chloe, this isn't about cruelty. This is about boundaries. You've repeatedly ignored ours. You are uninvited from our wedding. That is final." Her lips trembled, but I could see the calculation behind her eyes. She wasn't apologetic. She was planning her next move, the next story she could spin to manipulate perceptions. The fallout from this confrontation was immediate. Daniel's parents were livid, accusing me of tearing the family apart. His mother said, "Emma, you're so controlling. You're destroying Chloe's happiness." I wanted to scream. Destroying her happiness? She had been deliberately trying to control ours for months. But I held my tongue, letting Daniel handle the conversation. His support was unwavering, and it gave me the strength to maintain my boundaries. In the following weeks, Chloe tried everything, sending gifts with notes, showing up unannounced to Daniel's parents' house, posting stories that subtly criticized me. She even contacted some of our friends directly, trying to manipulate them into seeing her as the victim. I realized then that this was bigger than a single Instagram post. This was about power, control, and perception. Chloe wanted to be the heroine of the story, and I was supposed to be the villain. I started documenting everything: screenshots, messages, posts, dates. I knew that when the wedding day arrived, if Chloe tried to appear or cause drama, I would need evidence to protect myself and Daniel. Amid all this, the pregnancy progressed. I began feeling the joys and fears of expecting a child while navigating this ongoing family war. Each milestone, hearing the heartbeat, feeling the first flutters, was tainted by the anxiety Chloe's actions had created. Daniel and I leaned on each other more than ever. Every night we'd talk about boundaries, strategies, and the kind of family environment we wanted for our child. We agreed. The wedding and our child's life would only include people who respected us and our choices. Chloe had shown she could not do that. As the wedding approached, the tension reached a peak. Guests whispered about Chloe's absence. Some family members took sides, others remained neutral. But one thing was clear. Our wedding was going to be a test, not just of celebration, but of respect, trust, and boundaries. The day of the rehearsal dinner, I noticed subtle shifts. Chloe wasn't there, but her presence was felt in every sidelong glance, every whispered conversation. Some relatives tried to mediate, to convince us to forgive and forget. But I knew that forgiving without acknowledgement of wrongdoing would be a mistake. Daniel and I spent that night reflecting on how far we had come, how much Chloe's actions had affected us, and how much we had grown stronger as a couple. We realized that the wedding weekend arrived with a tension so thick it felt almost physical. Months of planning, of navigating Chloe's manipulations, and of family arguments had brought Daniel and me to this point. Every decision we had made, every boundary we had enforced, had been about protecting not only our day, but the life we were about to start as parents. The morning of the ceremony, I woke early, nerves twisting in my stomach like tightly wound cords. Daniel was already awake, reviewing the final seating chart and talking quietly with the wedding coordinator. I stood by the window, staring at the city waking up beneath us, feeling a strange mix of excitement, fear, and lingering anxiety. Chloe, of course, was absent, at least physically, but her shadow seemed to linger. Rumors had spread as I had expected, and there were quiet questions from guests. Why isn't she here? Did she have a fight with Emma? Every whisper reminded me of the months of manipulation, the stolen announcement, and the stress she had caused. Daniel came to stand behind me, placing his hands on my shoulders. Emma, it's our day. Chloe isn't here. That's the only thing that matters. You've done everything right. I closed my eyes and let the reassurance sink in. For months, I had carried the weight of Chloe's betrayal and the subsequent family fallout. Now, standing on the brink of our wedding, I realized that this day belonged only to Daniel and me, and to the child we were bringing into the world. The ceremony began quietly. The room filled with friends and family who had respected our boundaries and supported us. Every smile, every whispered congratulations reminded me of the life we were building, one rooted in trust and love. Then, in a moment I will never forget, a commotion arose at the entrance. Chloe had appeared unannounced. Her face was painted with feigned innocence, but her eyes held that familiar glint of self-interest. She had apparently tried to crash the wedding, hoping to insert herself into our story once again. I felt a surge of anger and fear. The months of stress, manipulation, and broken boundaries flashed before my eyes. This was the culmination of all of it, Chloe attempting to steal the moment we had fought so hard to protect. Daniel stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Chloe, you are not welcome here. This is our wedding. You have crossed every boundary we set, and nothing you do changes that. Chloe's lips trembled, and she opened her mouth likely to protest, but I didn't give her the satisfaction. I held my head high, feeling the strength of all the choices I had made to protect our privacy and peace. Some relatives whispered, some glared, but Daniel and I stood united. In that moment, I realized that Chloe's absence or her attempt to disrupt didn't diminish our day. It highlighted the importance of boundaries and the people who respected them. The ceremony proceeded flawlessly after that confrontation. Every smile, every word of love, and every promise exchanged between Daniel and me was a testament to the life we had chosen together. Chloe's absence, rather than casting a shadow, made the day feel even more ours. After the ceremony, I took a quiet moment alone in the garden. The weight of the past months, the betrayal, the arguments, the anxiety, finally lifted slightly. I thought about the child growing inside me, the family we were creating, and the lessons learned. I realized that protecting our boundaries, even at the cost of family discord, was not only justified but necessary. As the reception went on, Chloe's name came up only a few times, mostly whispered among aunts and cousins. I chose not to engage. The joy around me, the laughter of friends, the warmth of Daniel's hand in mine, the anticipation of our child's future, was more important than any lingering drama. By the end of the night, I understood something profound. Family isn't defined by blood alone. It's defined by respect, trust, and the willingness to honor boundaries. Chloe had shown repeatedly that she could not do this, and I had learned to let go without guilt. Daniel and I left the reception hand in hand, hearts full, ready to begin this new chapter of our lives. The wedding had been a test, a crucible of trust, and we had emerged stronger for it. Chloe's absence didn't diminish our day. It defined the importance of choosing carefully who we allow into our most intimate moments. In the weeks that followed, our lives settled into a calmer rhythm. Chloe continued to post on social media, but we no longer checked. Daniel and I focused on our pregnancy, our relationship, and the future we were building together. We shared our news with friends on our terms, savoring each congratulatory message as a celebration of our choice to protect our privacy. Reflecting on everything, I realized that this experience had taught me invaluable lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and the courage to enforce both. I had worried endlessly about being seen as controlling or unreasonable, but I now understood that enforcing boundaries is an act of love, not just for oneself, but for the family you are creating. So, Reddit? I ask again, AITA for uninviting my sister-in-law from my wedding after she revealed my pregnancy online against my wishes? The answer for me has become clear. Protecting your peace, your family, and your most intimate moments is never wrong. And sometimes saying no is the most loving thing you can do, not only for yourself but for those who truly matter in your life.